Well, Tom, we've got these new polls over the weekend, interesting numbers, especially Pennsylvania, but a bunch of others. Trump is now up in 4 of the 7 battleground states in our average. And I think he's up 0.1% in the average for the battleground states overall. So what happened with the polls over the weekend?
I mean, just a lot of data, much of it, or some of it at least, favorable to Trump, but other, again, I think the battleground, I think Kamala Harris was ahead by 0.1% when we left last weekend. Pennsylvania, which Trump's now up 0.2%, Kamala Harris was up 0.4% their last weekend. I think Pennsylvania has flipped 5 times in the last month, just based on the data. I mean, that's how close it is. And that's really the ball game when you look at the no toss-up map, the Electoral College. With when Trump, if Pennsylvania's in Trump's column, he's at 281. Harris is at 257. And when Pennsylvania's in Harris's column, she's at 276 and Trump's at 262, I think. So it is the difference maker. And that's why there's so much attention. And that's why we have so much data there. I think we have 13 or 14 polls in the average in Pennsylvania as well. So again, very, very tight race. I mean, Harris leads at 2 points nationally, and in all these battleground states, you mentioned of the 7, three or four of them, the lead is less than 1 point. It's about as close as you can be.
Right. And 270, of course, is the magic number, Carl. But what about the Senate race in Pennsylvania, Carl? You and I were talking about that earlier today.
Well, that seems to be tightening. You have Bob Casey's running against Dave McCormick, and I think our average now has it +4 for Bob Casey, the incumbent Democratic senator. But what's interesting about that race is that if you look at our average, if you ever want to know why RealClearPolitics averages polls, and Tom, my colleague here, and his co-founder John McIntyre pioneered this, you look at Pennsylvania Senate race, because you got 2 polls that show at 8 and 9%, and another 2 show at 1 and 2, and then the Washington Post a couple of weeks ago had it even. So this is I don't know why it's so tough to poll there. What you have in Donald Trump is a kind of a phenomenon, a guy who brings out voters who didn't vote before. You have people motivated. Are we counting immigrants? What about first-time voters? All these, it's difficult. And I never was a subscriber to the shy Trump voter theory, but it's been hard. It's been difficult for these pollsters to quite gauge Trump's strength. If he's even there, though, and we've got a story coming out. Well, we had a story this afternoon in our paper by Sean Trendy on our front page. What Sean points out is that you look at these states where these Democrats are leading, the Democratic senatorial candidates, Ohio, Wisconsin, and then Trump is running closer. Trump is closer. He's leading, or he's right there with Kamala Harris. It suggests that the undecided votes in the Senate race are Trump voters. If that's true, those Senate races are going to tighten too.
Tom, you see it that way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend Sean's piece. It's something to think about. He's a smart guy, and he always has interesting ideas and theories about these elections, and they're always well grounded in facts and history. Normally, we see races tighten as we get closer to election day, as undecideds kind of get off the fence, and that's what we're seeing in a lot of these Senate races. We've got Democrats have done very, very well, even when Joe Biden was, trailing Trump by 5, 6, 7 points in a lot of these battleground states. They were running well ahead. And even in the open seats, Arizona, Ruben Gallego, for example, and a lot of the Democrats still are holding on to small leads. The big problem, and we've talked about this before, West Virginia, which is gone. That's right. Joe Manchin's seat, and that's going to go Republican. So your baseline is 50-50. And then you've got Montana, where John Tester hasn't led in a single poll. And we don't have a lot of data there. We've only got 4 or 5 polls that have been taken in the last about 2 months, but he's not leading in any of them, and they're not even that close. So those 2 states right there would give you Republican control of the Senate, even if Democrats win all the rest, which they very well might do.
Well, we're going to talking about this more in the weeks ahead. You're listening to Real Clear Politics on Sirius XM. I'm Andrew Walworth. I'm talking with Carl Cannon and Tom Bevan, and we're going to take a break, but we'll be right back.